What's going on, everybody? It's your boys D and J.
Lives. And today we're gonna be coming to y'all with another video here, man. Today we're gonna be getting a little bit educational. We're gonna learn a little bit more. So this is from a channel called Tierzoo. Basically, like, I think this is like the coolest like educational channel in general, just because like the way that they do it's pretty unique. So they're specialized in animals. But the way that they do it is like they explain it in like gamer terms. So like they'll use like meta and like they'll make it a tier list. So like this isn't a tier list, I don't think. But like it's just like they'll just be using gamer terms and they'll be explaining like are humans OP?
Gotcha. Well, I would hope we are, bro. Top of the food chain. So,
bro. So you think we're OP?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, because bro, I mean. Some people try to be like contrarians by it, and they see like the video site and they're like, oh man, no, are humans OP? Yeah, no, we're not OP. We're so bad at everything else. We're just carried by like guns and stuff. And I'm like, bro,
we made guns.
We made it. Like, I
was about to say, people are gonna be like, human versus gorilla, who wins? The nine wins.
Yeah, bro. Like, yeah, humans. Yeah, bro. It's like it's one thing to be like, I don't know what it is. I feel like people have like this like thing where they want to be like humble about like humanity as a whole, or like their group. You know what I mean? Like those people who are like, oh man, I hate America. You know, I'm an American, but like I hate America. We've done so much fucked up shit. It's like kind of weird, bro. Like you're pretty weird for being like that.
Not facts.
But I don't know. Here's are humans OP? Let's see. Are we really OP?
This episode was sponsored by Skillshare. Human beings. Are they as overpowered as the game's community would lead you to believe? Short answer,
yes.
Yeah. They're the most meta-defining build of all time, and the undisputed top build in the current expansion. But believe it or not, this wasn't always the case. Humans used to get bodied left and right on a daily basis by other players. And it took a pretty long time before the player base learned how to actually make use of the human build's unique abilities. The story of the humans' rise to dominance is a really interesting one.
Correct.
And so today, we're going to do an in-depth look at the humans' abilities, their strengths, and their weaknesses. Because yes, they do have weaknesses. We'll also go over notable matchups, and finally look at the steps human players took in order to reach their dominant status. First, their unique abilities. I touched on this topic in my video about primates, but I'll recap here and also go into more detail. First off the bat, we have their ability to throw things. Other builds can throw things, but humans can do so harder, faster, and further than anyone else.
Yeah.
The reason for this is their body structure. Bipedal builds are tough to balance, both in the game development sense and the center of mass sense. Throwing an item with any real force behind it requires serious balance, achieved only by having shorter arms and longer legs. This is why humans can launch projectiles at deadly speeds, whereas other primates kinda just lob things without putting much effort into it. If they tried to, they would knock themselves over. Even if chimpanzees could figure out how to craft a spear, there's no way they could throw it hard enough to deal any significant damage.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, I never even thought of that. Like we're over here talking about like guns and stuff. It's like, bro, like
just bring it back to the basics. Spears.
Yeah, or just like being able to throw in general. Like, I never thought about that. Like, yeah, no other animals like generally just can't throw. Like, you don't see any other animal like throwing stuff effectively.
Bro, that's just the brain department. I feel like, what if they go like tripod mode, bro?
Yeah, they like set up like this and
you know.
Yeah, they probably could like.
But that's like their brain too little.
True.
Take that too. Take that L, you animal scum.
Animal scum. Yeah, no, that's cool though that we're just like balanced properly to be able to like throw things effectively. But yeah, they probably could like set up like a tripod like this, and that's pretty interesting. But yeah, no, that's pretty cool.
Next, their stamina regeneration. Humans can chase down anything. You try to run from a human, you might outspeed them initially, but you'll run out of stamina much sooner than they will, and they'll catch up to you while you're in your weakened state. This is partially because of their superior balance again, but mostly it's because of the human build's unique choice to not spec into fur. This gives them access to the extremely broken ability Sweat. Every other current build that's decent at distance running recharges stamina by using the move Pant. This works great, but it does require the user to stop running. Sweat, on the other hand, works better while moving, massively extending the distance a human player can run. They've got a few other important abilities that are essential to their kit, but aren't unique to humans.
Bro, I also didn't think about that, bro. Not about like the sweat thing, because there's other animals that sweat, right? But I guess they don't do it like for regeneration of stamina. Because it's like obviously your dog can get sweaty. Horses sweat.
Horses sweat. Yeah.
Yeah, horses sweat because yeah.
I think he's capping, but hey.
Yeah. I guess it's like they like sweat uniquely for like the purpose of like regenerating stamina.
Right.
I don't know. But no, I never even thought about like how good humans are at like distance running. Like it is kind of crazy when you think about it. Like you just think about like marathons.
Yeah.
Like just running miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. Like that's not something that you really see animals do.
That's facts.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool little attribute we got.
Their ability to speak is unique among mammals, but some birds can pull it off too. In humans, the ability to speak allows them to use one of their signature moves, Teach, which drastically boosts skill point gain, mitigating the main penalty a player receives upon getting a game over. Humans and birds also share another unique trait, which is being able to stand upright. Standing upright is extremely useful for dealing with stealth builds that might normally be using tall grass to hide. Tool use also might be thought of as a human-exclusive move, and it certainly is the most effective in humans, but it turns out a pretty wide array of other builds can also do it. Birds, primates, cephalopods, and even fish can use tools on occasion. But sweating and throwing, uniquely human. Now onto their weaknesses. And yes, it's true that currently most human players can subvert these with their crafting skill. But it's important to recognize that without equipment, the human build isn't necessarily unstoppable. The decision to not have fur granted humans a massive buff to mobility at the cost of stealth. In the mammal faction, fur is a prerequisite to all the major stealth abilities like camouflage, and lack of stealth abilities means getting in close on their targets is a serious challenge. The human build's lack of fur also means they have very low defense, both from physical attacks and from environmental effects. Bare skin offers almost zero armor, to the point where even players from lower weight classes have no trouble dealing damage to
Don't
humans.
need armor if you have bees.
And bare skin also takes quite a bit of damage from the sun too.
Bro.
Humans are also pretty limited when it comes to the power stat.
Well, some humans take a lot of damage from the stun. You know? Some humans do. Some humans are, we're just built for that. You know what I'm saying? Sunburn, what is that?
Physically, they're the weakest of the great apes, and don't really have any good options for dealing damage. They lack the classic high damage bite attack that nearly every other non-herbivorous build relies on, instead having to resort to blunt attacks like punch and kick, which we all know aren't very effective against builds that have thick fur or skin. The last major weakness I can see is that they're pretty bad at dealing with stealth. The lack of night vision means darkness can really hamper their ability to locate targets, and their lack of a strong sense of smell means camouflage is especially useful against them. Okay, now let's talk about matchups. Obviously, a key feature of the human build is being able to craft equipment. Given basic equipment like low-level armor and hunting gear, the human's best matchup is going to be medium-large mammals. Unlike blunt damage, piercing damage is quite effective versus builds with thick hide, but on defense they're actually pretty awful. A human's only option on defense against a large mammal is intimidation, unless they've got some crazy high-level equipment, but I'll make a video on power creep later. The classic human equipment cannot stop a charging tank main unless the intimidate attempt works. But overall, this matchup is one of the reasons humans became top tier. Hardly any builds have favorable matchups against tanks. But that's not to say humans don't have their counters though. As I said before, stealth can be really effective against them due to their lack of a keen sense of smell and night vision. Humans have the ability to win pretty much any fight as long as they've got time to prepare. But taken by surprise, humans have a lot fewer options. Another thing humans have trouble dealing with is flight.
They fucking die.
Bro.
I just see a video. Literally one of those. It's like one of those like top 10 moments before Dragon strikes. Bro,
that man really jumped so high.
that's crazy. I mean, they're on like elephants. Maybe
Nah, bro. you're done. You're getting swiped.
Even when a human has a ranged weapon, players with high aerial mobility are pretty safe during flight. Now, as far as I know, there aren't any bird builds powerful enough to one-shot humans, which is important because blunt attacks like punches are actually quite effective against birds. Birds have hollow bones that are resistant to tension and torsion, but not compression. This is the opposite of mammal bones, which are resistant to compression and tension, but not torsion. The point is, birds aren't the best choice against humans, but flight has been unlocked by 4 different classes in the game. Birds, which we just discussed aren't a good choice. Bats, which do even less damage than birds. Reptiles, which unfortunately had their aerial builds banned in patch 1.3.1. And insects. Flying eusocial insects have by far the best matchup versus humans in the entire game.
Yeah.
Humans have 0 counterplay against a swarm of stinging insects. I mean, sure, there are special items that they can use to combat swarms if they're prepared, but the amount of human mains who've chosen that as one of their prestige abilities is pretty small. Humans' lack of fur means they have no innate defense against stings. Stings also have the chance to proc the Amphylaxis debuff, which can actually lead to a game over. And it's for this reason that the high score for human eliminations belongs to the Africanized honeybee, known better by its community-given name, the killer bee. And even if the stings don't proc the allergic reaction effect, they will still definitely achieve their primary goal of dropping their resolve to 0 and granting you control over the territory. And we can see that lately the viability of killer bees has only been growing now that they've expanded their territory outside of Africa. Which brings me to my main point.
Sorry, Bruh.
That's not anywhere near us.
Yeah, that's concerning.
Expanded their territory outside of Africa.
Bro.
Which brings me to my main point. Are humans overpowered? Well, just like the Africanized honeybee, humans really only became OP once they escaped the African server and invaded other areas. Notice how humans took down megafauna across every terrestrial server except Africa. The African tank mains have the matchup experience and counterplay options to deal with the vast array of skills humans have access to. But the rest of the community was totally unprepared to deal with the rapid invasion of new human mains invading their competitive scene. In other words, the devs could have prevented the massive destabilization of the current meta if they'd region-locked humans. Staying competitive in the meta requires a good player constantly be leveling up their skills. There's no better example of this than the rapid rise to dominance that humans experienced. If you'd like to level up your own skills and unlock new ones, I highly recommend Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with over 20,000 classes in design, business, technology, and more. Premium membership...
Sad. I'm not gonna lie, that was smooth. Bro, I could not even tell that he transitioned into an ad, bro. I was like, oh. Then I heard Skillshare, I was like, wait, hold up. Nah, man, that's cool, man. He's good with it. But, yeah, man, no, that was our humans OP, so, I mean, I think we got our answer.
Yes. Bro, he said the only way to deal with us is a region lock. We're too OP to get region locked.
Crazy. I mean, that is kind of insane to think, like, bro, because there were humans in like Australia. I guess like for most of the world it makes sense, and then they got to the Americas through like the ice sheet in Siberia. It's just crazy to think like, nigga, we came up, like, humans went a long way to, like, spread all the way around the world in a pretty short amount of time, too. Like, if you think about, like, I don't know, a lot of other animals, they're, like, in their spot. Or they're, like, oh, there's, like, an American version of this animal that's over in Europe. But they're, like, millions of years of evolution apart. Like, they evolved differently. Just crazy to think about.
Yeah. Humans. Too easy. That's all I gotta say.
Bro, this is one of the most busted classes, bro. It's you're playing on easy mode.
A human's worst problem is a human, really.
True. But yeah, man, that was our humans OP. Yeah, I did see like a primate tier list on this, and then he probably has like a bunch of other interesting tier lists too. So we'll probably do the primate tier list next. Let us know about any other tier list that we should be checking out. We're definitely gonna be like going over this, going over this channel a lot, probably. So let us know what else we should check out from this channel, man. If y'all are interested, let us know. And other than that, subscribe, please. And y'all have a good one.
Yeah, bitch so bad I wanna shoot like hoops while I'm riding in the coupe. I got what you want.